Hi everybody, my name is James Cassane. I'm 14, I'm in 9th grade, and I go to Horace Greeley.
Hi guys, I'm Allie Berkowitz. I'm 16, I'm in 11th grade, and I go to Salman Schechter.
Hello everybody, my name is Andrew Fogarty. I'm 14 years old and I'm in 9th grade. And all of us are members of the New York Hudson Valley chapter of the National Tourette Association of America. Raise your hand if you've heard of Tourette syndrome. All right, that's a good number. That's a good turnout. So what have you guys heard? Well, it can make people nervous, but that is not necessarily one of the symptoms. But yeah, it can definitely be involved. Yeah.
It's a bunch of unwanted movements that you do. It's like something you're born with.
Absolutely, it is something you're born with, and it does involve making movements that you don't want to make. When you're sick? Not necessarily when you're sick, like not when you have a cold or anything, but we'll address that.
School is supposed to be about working.
Alright, yeah, I guess. Alright, so the first thing that's important to know about Tourette syndrome is that it is a medical condition, okay? So people don't choose to have Tourette syndrome. And it's important if you guys don't know a whole lot about it, because that's why you are here today. We're going to educate you.
So you guys are about to see part of an HBO documentary titled I Have Tourette's, but Tourette's Doesn't Have Me.
Tourette syndrome. Well, there it is. Tourette syndrome is a certain brain defect. It's a neurological problem that I was born with that causes you to tick. Ticks control our bodies. Ticking, like coughing, twitching, like snapping all the time, and do a lot of things people wouldn't like.
My mom calls me the mouse because I make a little squeaking noise. Shaking my head. Now that I said it, I have to do it. I would go like this, flapping my arms. And everybody thought I was trying to, fly. Like, no, you can't help it.
It's not contagious. Like, if I shook your hand and said, hi, my name's Caitlin, you would not get Tourette's.
Metal! They, come all the time. Coffee!
Can you shut up?
It's there. Why do you have to make fun of it?
Why are you doing that? That's so annoying. Could you please stop?
They just think I'm real crazy.
A person who has Tourette's isn't like a whole another person. Like me. I'm a regular kid.
There's a point in a friendship with someone with Tourette's where they ask, I've always wondered, can you stop it? Can you, just stop? I've had second cousins that don't know much about Tourette syndrome that hold my head like this. And when people do it, I can still tick. I mean, I'm just like that,
Holding them back just gives me this feeling of tenseness, like everything's kind of clamped together and all your muscles are contracted.
I want to hide my ticks and don't let anyone see them. Like, I take my pencil and I hit it on the floor and I kick it. And then I get down on the floor and do the ticks that I have to do. Like one, pushing on my stomach a lot. And then, someone says, I want you to get off the floor. So I say, well, I'm getting my hips off, so I just kick it farther.
So Tourette is a medical condition. So what are some other types of medical conditions that you guys have heard of? Yeah? Yeah, cancer is a medical condition. Yeah? Yeah, that's it. Leukemia is a type of cancer. Yeah? Ebola? That's more of a disease, but yeah. All right, one more. Yeah? What? Yeah. Cystic fibrosis. That's medical Yes, that is a medical condition. So have you guys ever heard of asthma? So asthma is a medical condition, and people don't choose to have asthma, right? So people don't choose to have Tourette syndrome, and you can't blame a person for having asthma, just like you can't blame a person for having Tourette.
So I'm sure for a lot of you, the behaviors of the kids in the video were different, right? And I'm sure that you all know that teasing or bullying somebody because they have quirks that you aren't used to isn't right. Just like people that have Tourette syndrome, it's something that's different, but it's not something that needs to be called out and bullied.
Do you notice anything different about the people in this photo? Yeah. Yes, they are, I think, all in high school. Yeah?
Some of them have their hands to the side and some of them have their hands across.
Well, yes, that is one thing. So, do you notice anything different about us up here? Yeah? Do you have a question? Up there? Yeah. Alright, yeah, the shirt I'm wearing. Yeah, up there.
It looks like they have like ticks on their face and like red dots.
I think, I believe that's acne, but that's okay. Oh, yeah, so you notice my feet are moving. Well, all of the people in this photo and all of us up here have Tourette syndrome. And someone mentioned that my feet are moving, which is one of my tics. I guess I am having a pretty good day still though. On a bad day, you'd see me blinking and scrunching my face up all the time. So, you'll notice that only one girl is in the picture and only one girl is up here. And that's because Tourette syndrome is 3 times more common in males than in females.
Alright, so now we're going to distinguish between tics, the arachnid, and tics, the symptom of Tourette syndrome. So, tics with a K is a small little arachnid that you guys might know can carry Lyme disease, but that has absolutely nothing to do with Tourette syndrome and tics with just a C. Tics with a C, as I said, is a symptom of Tourette syndrome and is not transmitted through an arachnid's bite. Alright, 2 completely different things. And it's just like a cough or a sore throat are symptoms of a cold. Tics are a symptom of Tourette's.
All right, so what's a tic? A tic is an involuntary, sudden, rapid, recurrent, stereotyped motor or vocal involvement. Now in English, this means a movement or a sound that your body makes that it can't control. So some of my tics are that I crack my wrist or I snap my fingers or like roll my head like this. And my body's doing it and I'm not doing it because I want to be doing it.
What does the urge to tic feel like? Think of the urge to sneeze, cough, or blink. You may know you're going to sneeze, but there's no way that you're stopping it. As soon as you have to, your body's going to do it. People don't want or like to be ticking, and it often bothers them. But it's important to know that they can't control it any more than you can control coughing or blinking your eyes.
So the 2 main types of tics are motor tics and vocal tics. So motor tics are movements that can't be controlled, and vocal tics are sounds and or words that can't be controlled. So the first type of tic we're going to go over is simple motor tics. And simple motor tics are motor tics, so movement tics, that involve only one muscle group. So for example, I once had a tic where I shook my head, and that is an example of a simple motor tic because it only involves one muscle group. Okay, so besides that, we're going to do a little activity now, okay? So what I want everybody to do right now is to find their abdominal muscles, like your stomach muscles, okay? And I'm going to help you guys simulate what a simple motor tic might feel like. So what I'm going to ask you to do is quickly tense up those muscles and release them, not yet, but I'm going to ask you to do that many times in rapid succession. So tense, release, tense, release, tense, release for 10 seconds, and I'll count it off, okay? You guys ready? All right, we're going to start now. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right. How did that feel? All right, wait. How did that feel? You didn't? All right. Yeah, absolutely. It can feel uncomfortable. So, I mean, if you're doing it the entire day, it would feel pretty uncomfortable too, wouldn't you think? Right there. Yeah, I've heard that a couple times, and that is definitely something that can happen. And as I said there, if you just keep doing it and keep doing it, it's not going to get any better. It's going to get worse. And at the end of the day, you're going to be really tired. You might be sore, and it's just not going to be a very good time.
So just like there are simple motor tics, there are also complex motor tics, which is a movement that's produced by a number of muscle groups. So many of your muscles are producing this movement. So this can be like hopping, clapping, or throwing, or even holding a funny expression. Like there are some people with Tourette that their tic is to hold an expression for a really long time. And doesn't that seem like very tiring? Wouldn't you guys get really tired if you had to hold an expression for a long time?
As Andrew mentioned, along with simple motor tics, there are also simple vocal tics. These are tics that involve making one movement with the mouth or throat. For example, humming or coughing, things like that. I have a friend with Tourette syndrome who has a tic where he kind of barks. And although this may not seem like that big of a deal, it's actually really hard. It's actually really annoying for him because it prevents him from going to the movie theaters. For people who don't know what's going on, could get mad for the sounds that he's making.
So just like motor tics, there are simple and complex vocal tics. And complex vocal tics include blurting out entire words or phrases, like "you're beautiful," for example. So there are also other categories of complex vocal tics called, for example, coprolalia is one of them, which is blurting out socially unacceptable words or phrases. And this is very, very rare. It's in less than 1 in 10 people that have Tourette syndrome. But the media, like TV shows, show it as the only symptom. And that's not very good because it puts people with Tourette syndrome in the spotlight, making them seem like they're just trying to be obscene, like they're trying to be bad. But in reality, they're not. And it can be very, very embarrassing for them to be saying something inappropriate in a setting that it doesn't fit, which is every setting.
Along with coprolalia, there are other less common tics. These include copropraxia, which is making rude gestures, echolalia, which is repeating someone else's words, like an echo, and also palalia, which is where you repeat your own words. It's important to remember that these are rather rare tics of Tourette syndrome, and relatively few people have them. It's important to note that they're very hard to manage, and the people with the tic feel very bad about them. They really don't want to be doing it, but they just can't control it.
So there are also tics of the mind. A tic of the mind is getting stuck on a particular thought. It's related to, but not the same as OCD. Have you guys heard of that? Yes. So that is obsessive compulsive disorder. So here's an example to help you guys understand. 2 kids put their books in their school lockers and they lock it. Both keep going back again and again and again to check their lockers, and both are late for class. The kid with OCD checks and rechecks because of the worry that something bad will happen, like their books will be stolen and they'll be late to class and they'll get a failing grade. But the kid with tic of the mind isn't worried. They check and recheck because they just have to do it. They have that feeling and that sensation that compels them to do it until it feels just right.
So the diagnosis of Tourette syndrome is pretty interesting because, of course, you can't physically test for it, but rather a doctor will observe somebody and study their medical history to find out if they have Tourette syndrome or not. So tics will begin before the age of 18, and they will wax and wane, meaning that they will change over time. So to be diagnosed with Tourette syndrome, a person not only has to have a tic, but they have to have 2 motor tics and 1 vocal tic for a year, a whole year. But they don't have to be the same tics necessarily, because as I said, they can wax and wane, and that's completely normal. So while 1 in 5 kids will experience tics at some point in their childhood, only 1 in 160 kids will actually have Tourette syndrome. So there's a pretty big difference.
Andrew mentioned that tics wax and wane. What this means is that tics can be mild or severe. The types of tics and how severe they are change over time, and they can come and go, disappear, and even reappear. When my friend Ben talks about his Tourette syndrome, he always says that he never knows what his tics are going to do because they're always extremely unpredictable.
All right, ready? High five. No. High five. High five. High five. High five. High five. All right, so all of you guys did not just get Tourette syndrome. I just want to make that clear. Tourette is not contagious, and you can't catch it from a high five or a fist bump or touching anyone with Tourette. And also, Tourette syndrome is no one's fault, and a person with it did nothing wrong to get it. And although the specific cause is unknown, we do know from medical research that the cause is that it runs in the family.
Tourette syndrome is a neurodevelopmental disorder, and that's a mouthful. All it really means is that it changes as you and your brain change. And Tourette syndrome occurs in the nervous system, or the brain. So I want all of you to raise your hands. All right, now put them back down. Your brain just sent chemical messages throughout your body telling your hand to go up, and it did. Then it's almost as if a traffic light turned red, and the chemical messages stopped being sent and your hand went back down. For kids with Tourette's, it's almost as if this traffic light doesn't work properly. So maybe the traffic light stays green or goes yellow. Even though kids with Tourette syndromes, even though their brain works differently, they're just as smart as everyone else.
So some of you may know that genes carry information that determines a person's features that are inherited from previous generations, like your parents or your grandparents. So what are some things that you've inherited?
Blood type.
Sure, yeah, blood type.
And look type.
One more time.
What you look like.
Yes, exactly what you look like, your facial features. Those are definitely things that you inherit. And one more.
Your hair color.
Your hair color, exactly. Hair color is definitely something you inherit. So like your hair color, your eyes, and your height, for example, Tourette syndrome is inherited.
So as you mentioned, Tourette syndrome is inherited. And so like as for me, I have Tourette syndrome, and my older brother has it, and my younger brother has it. But and 2 of my cousins have it, but that doesn't mean that all of our siblings have it. So we know it runs in the family, and we get it somewhere from maybe our grandparents or our great-grandparents, but none of our parents have it also. Also, something to know is that a person is born with Tourette syndrome, and tics often start between the ages of 5 to 7, and for many people, the worst period of tics is between the ages 7 through 15. And this may be because during this period of time, it's when your brain is like making a lot of changes, so that's why tics can be a little bit worse. And also for many, but not all people, tics lessen significantly by early adulthood. And as for me, my tics were a lot worse when I was younger, but now that I'm a little bit older, they're not as apparent. Also, Tourette syndrome is a condition that you live with. People with Tourette grow up, they go to college, they have jobs and busy lives and families of their own. As for me, even though I have Tourette, it doesn't stop me from doing things I love, like theater and softball and running track. And scientists are doing research, and once they know the causes, the goal is to develop better treatments and hopefully a cure.
So as you may have noticed, Ali said, hopefully a cure. And that's because we don't have a cure yet for Tourette syndrome. But we do have treatments, meaning that we have things that can make it easier to handle, but not make it go away completely. So some of these things can include medications, for example. But because there's no cure, there is no single medication that is specifically designed for Tourette syndrome, but rather different medications that work for different people.
So just like their medications, there's also something called CBIT, which is a behavior therapy that can help some people manage their tics. And there's also counseling that some people with Tourette syndrome do, which can help with the social aspects of life with Tourette syndrome. As you can imagine, it can be hard sometimes.
Along with Tourette syndrome, there are often other related co-conditions. In fact, 86% of all kids with Tourette also have another condition. And it's important to know that no two people are alike. One person may have Tourette syndrome and OCD, while another may have Tourette, ADHD, and anxiety, for example. In fact, sometimes these co-conditions can be even worse than the tics themselves, and it can make normal tasks a lot harder, so kids have to work a lot harder to complete them.
All right, so we're gonna do a little test right now to see if you guys can live with Tourette's, okay? So what we're gonna do is we're gonna have you turn over your papers really quick. Yeah, all right. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna give you 60 seconds to write the Pledge of Allegiance, but we're gonna give you 2 tics. The first tic is going to be a motor tic, and that motor tic is gonna be that whenever one of us claps, you're going to take your pencil, flip it over, tap the eraser on the paper, and then continue writing. And the second tic is going to be a tic of the mind, and that's going to be every third word you write, you have to cross it out and rewrite it. So I pledge allegiance, cross it out, rewrite it. To the flag, cross it out, rewrite it. Okay. Everybody understand? Okay. What do you do if we clap?
Have your eraser!
Good. You tap your eraser on your paper, then you continue writing. What about every third word you write? What do you have to do?
Cross it out and
Cross it out and rewrite it. Good.
Okay, so listen up and wait to hear when it's going to start. All right.
So we're going to give you 60 seconds, so 1 minute. All right, and we're going to start right now. We have an essay due Thursday. You're going to get your grades back for the math test on Wednesday. There's a social studies extra credit assignment if you want to do it. It's due Friday.
All right, guys, halfway there.
Your spelling words have to be memorized by tomorrow. Know all your grammar rules.
15 seconds.
3 outside reading book paragraphs due on Thursday.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. All right, everyone stop.
All right. Okay. Let's ease it down a little bit. Okay, I have a question for everybody here. I have a question. How many people finished? Raise your hand if you finished. Raise your hand if you finished and telling the truth. All right, there we go. So, simple tasks in school can be very difficult, like just writing the Pledge of Allegiance, because you have tics and because it's hard to focus and hard to get your work done because of these. So, what are some things that teachers can do to make it easier for people that have Tourette syndrome? Yes, exactly. Give them more time. That is absolutely something you can do. Maybe like a special chair, a special pencil, something that makes them more comfortable, something that makes them more at home and at ease. One more. Absolutely, because the factors that come from stress and time limits and time constraints can be very, very difficult for somebody with Tourette syndrome.
So what did he say?
Yeah, he said don't rush them. Don't rush people who have Tourette syndrome because it can cause stress. So there are reasonable accommodations, which are things like 504s, that do give people with things like Tourette syndrome extra time on tests and quizzes and other things like that, so that they can actually get their work done.
So also something important to know is did you guys not finish because you didn't know the Pledge of Allegiance? Or because you didn't have enough time and because of your tics? So yeah, exactly. Okay, so I'm guessing for most of you it's because of the tics. Okay, so that just goes to show that for people with Tourette, sometimes they don't finish assignments, not because they don't know it or not because they're not smart enough, but because their tics can make it really hard to finish things. So also there are some environmental factors that can worsen Tourette syndrome, like stress, anxiety, or excitement. And even good things can make tics worse, like going to a party or going on vacation. I know that as for me, my tics can get worse when I'm taking a test.
All right, so what are some examples of times when having Tourette syndrome could be difficult for somebody? A sports game, yeah, that can be difficult.
Maybe like when you're with your girlfriend.
Yeah, sure, yeah, I guess it can make it awkward. For example, being with your girlfriend and ticking. All right, so one more. Yeah, if you're dribbling a basketball and you have to tick and you move your hand out of the way and you might mess up. All right, so we're gonna move on.
What's important to know is that Tourette syndrome is embarrassing, uncomfortable, and it interferes with everyday life. It can be awkward when you're meeting new people, when you're going to a certain venue, and it can also be physically painful, as we showed you with the stomach tensing activity. It can also be extremely exhausting. Well, if you have something like an eye blinking tic or a head shaking tic, reading can be difficult because you could be always losing your spot. And you may not be able to complete a reading assignment, not because you're bad at reading or you're not smart, it's just because of your tics. They're making things difficult.
So how can you guys help make a difference in the lives of classmates or others with Tourette, yeah? Yeah, so you can help them. I'll take one more, yeah? Yeah. Yeah, that's great. So definitely be patient with them. Don't make them nervous. Be friendly and nice. But honestly, just you guys being here today and listening to this is really helping because education is the key to increasing awareness and acceptance. So when you guys go home after this, please teach someone else what you've learned here today. Share the info sheet with your parents and friends, and please teach people the Pledge of Allegiance activity.
Some people with Tourette syndrome carry around a card that looks just like this, and they use it to help explain the condition to people who don't know. It reads, "Why do I act this way? Because I can't control it. I have Tourette syndrome, a medical condition. It causes me to make loud sounds, have twitches, and say things that I don't mean. I can't stop it any more than you can stop a sneeze or a cough. I'm sorry if it bothers you, but it bothers me even more."
All right, so as I said in the beginning, you should never allow your view of people to be limited by their differences and just what sets them apart from others. In fact, that's just something you should celebrate and something you should really embrace, something you should care about. I have Tourette syndrome, but there's a lot more to me than Tourette syndrome. I play soccer, I do track, I have friends, right? People with Tourette syndrome are smart, creative, they can be funny, they can be talented. They can do anything anybody else can do. They're not limited by their disability. They can become teachers, school principals, musicians, anything that anybody else can become.
All right, do you guys have any questions for us? Yeah? Do I tic when I sleep? So that's something that people always ask. Good question. So it's really a personal thing. Me, I personally don't, but they might have different answers.
Yeah, so I've been told that I move around and sometimes even talk in my sleep, but personally, I've never been told that I tick in my sleep. Yeah, up there in the blue shirt. Yeah, you.
When I was younger, I was told by my parents I had a tick in my arm, but I didn't know what it was because I was so young.
Right, well, Tourette's and tics are actually extremely common in children. About 1 in 5 kids will have tics. If it's something that recurs and concerns you, maybe have it checked out by a doctor.
But just because you have a tick doesn't mean you have Tourette's syndrome.
Right, just because you have a tic does not mean you have Tourette's syndrome.
So, yes, people with Tourette syndrome can still drive, but I personally can't because I'm only 14, right? So I don't have a license. But when I turn 16, I will get my license, I will drive. Because people with Tourette syndrome can get their licenses, they can legally drive, they can function on the road. Yeah.
Right, if you have like a head shaking tic, it's really a personal thing. If you think it would interfere with driving, then, it could be a safety issue. But it depends on the tic. Yeah.
What if, is it possible? Like, I think I have tics in my dreams. I don't specifically have them, but in my dreams, I have my tics where, like, I can't move.
So we're not doctors or psychologists, so we cannot diagnose anybody with Tourette syndrome. So if you're concerned about that, you might want to consult your parents to maybe check it out. I don't know. Like, we can't tell you.
Okay, yeah? Sorry, can you say that again?
So it really, she asked if someone has Tourette syndrome, can they spot someone else with Tourette syndrome in a crowd? Well, it really depends on the tics. If someone's tics are extremely prevalent, maybe it could be obvious. But again, the best thing to do, if that is the case, is just to simply ignore it. You don't want to make someone feel bad or awkward or indifferent. Yeah, over there. Not personally, no, but I'm sure some people do things like that. The question was, are there certain foods that you eat to help with Tourette syndrome? Not personally, no.
Yeah, you in the black?
If you ever try to stop with the stick and you do that,
So yeah, that's a good question. He said, do you ever try to stop ticking, and if you do, does it cause a headache? So for me, it's very hard to try to stop it, because as I said before, it's like the urge to cough or sneeze. So my tic where I sometimes roll my head, that can cause a headache if I do it too much and try to stop it. So yeah, that's a good question. It can hurt sometimes.
So, do I ever run around like crazy with my tics? I don't run around like crazy with my tics, no.
You said medications are used in treatment. What do medications do for you?
So they can help with suppressing compulsions and making them less prevalent, and making them less noticeable in your mind. But as I said, they don't make it completely go away. They just kind of help it become more manageable.
And it doesn't, the same as
Yeah, there's no universal medication. There's no Tourette syndrome medication. There's just medications that help certain people.
Yeah, there's no medication designed specifically for Tourette syndrome. Typically, other drugs are used that are meant for something else, but could also help Tourette syndrome. And again, not everything works for everyone. Up there in the...
I know stress balls kind of help. Will it help with Tourette?
Well, as as we said before, Tourette syndrome often does cause a lot of stress, anxiety, things like that, just from embarrassment or, worry. So I'm sure using a stress ball can help out with that.
Well, the other thing, though, is that when you feel stressed, you get an increase, right? You guys experienced that before when you were doing the stimulation exercise. The more the time goes by, which happens more and more and more, right? That's something that you guys experience. It's an increase when you're feeling stress or anxiety.
Yeah. Also, to add on to that, it's a good question because for people who have a lot of tics, like in their hands and their wrists, I'm sure that a stress ball would help because it's something that's distracting. Yeah? Yeah, so she asked, how do you know if a tic would be a tic? So the answer to that is honestly that we can't answer that. So I think that if you think that you're having a tic, you should go to a doctor and they can tell you. But they're the only people who can really answer that.
We have 5 more minutes before the presentation is over. Give or take 5 minutes, right? 27, what time are we ending?
Yeah,
So do you want to do the video? What are we going to do the last thing?
So we're going to show you a portion of a short video on Tourette syndrome.
Kids with Tourette syndrome are just like you and me.
Stand up and be a leader for yourself and your friends.
Leaders are winners.
Friends are winners.
Kids with Tourette syndrome are just like you and me.
So stand up for Tourette syndrome.
Oh my gosh, there's that weird kid. He's so weird. Tick, tick, tick. He's just odd. He was guy at detention last time. Oh my gosh, he's so weird. He's like, oh my god, he's on my bus.
Luke, you should go say something to those mean kids.
No, it's okay. I'll just ignore them like I always do.
Well, Luke, if you don't do it now, then I will. I mean, seriously, those kids just gotta stop teasing you.
Yeah, let's go say something to them, Nick.
Thanks, guys. I know that's something I need to do when I get my courage up.
Well, Luke, if you do that right now, then I'll have your back.
Me too.
You sure?
Yes.
Yeah. Let's do this.
Look who it is.
I know why you guys make fun of me.
'Cause you're weird.
Hey, cut it out, all of you. I'm serious.
I know what I do looks and sounds different, but do any of you know why I do that?
No. Luke has Tourette syndrome.
Do any of you know what Tourette syndrome is?
It's when kids do this.
Not quite, Tina, but nice moves. You see, Tourette syndrome is a brain disorder that causes me to make sudden movements and sounds. I can't stop it, no matter how hard I try.
Can you die from it?
No, I definitely can't die from it. Thanks for asking.
Does it hurt?
Sometimes, yeah, especially when I snap my neck back real hard.
Will it ever go away?
For some people it does, for some it doesn't. The doctor said it might go away when I get older.
Can I catch it?
No, you can't catch it. It's not like a cold or flu. I think I was born with it.
How old were you when you started ticking?
It started 2 years ago in 4th grade, but it got worse last year.
My brother does this with his eyes. Does he have Tourette's?
I don't know, but if it keeps bothering him for a long time, he might want to go see a doctor.
Do you know anyone else who has Tourette's?
Not personally, but the goalie for the U.S. soccer team, Tim Howard, has it.
Wow, Tim Howard's awesome. Cool.
Does it stop you from playing sports?
Not at all. I've been playing ice hockey since 2nd grade.
And he's really good. What's your name?
Luke.
Well, Luke, I'm sorry I called you weird, because you're not. I guess you're just like us. Can you accept my apology? Our apology. We're all sorry. Sorry.
Sure.
Do you guys want to come skate with us sometime? Sure. I'm really proud of you, Luke.
You can put an end to teasing and bullying. Everybody stand up for Tourette syndrome.
I want to thank everybody for coming here and listening to our presentation. And I want you guys to realize, if there are about 200 people in here if each of you can tell one person about Tourette syndrome today, 400 people would have been educated and more understanding about it today, so that awareness will be more prevalent in the world.